I had a friend back then in secondary school. We wrote the JAMB examination together. But when the admission list came out, unfortunately, his name was not part of the admission list. It was really painful. But then, at the end of it all, we got to check the cutoff mark for the year. And we got to realize that the difference between his total aggregate and the cutoff mark for the year was 0.5 mark. And because of 0.5 mark, he lost admission for the year. People can agree with me that is only single mark that differentiates 299 from 300. So someone that scored 300 is declared as somebody who is part of the 300 gang, while someone who scored 299 is not declared as one part of it. And what made the difference? What made the difference is only one single mark. And as low as 0.1 mark can deny you admission. This is how important every single mark and question in your examination is. So we'll be looking at 5 tricks to score higher in your JAMB UTME CBT exam. Before we go in, I'm going to practically say that learning these tricks and every other thing I'm going to be saying in this video does not replace your normal studying and your normal learning schedule and every other thing you plan to learn in preparation for your examination. This is just like an addition in order to help you while you are writing your examination. Hi, I'm back again. Welcome back to the channel. And if you are new here, my name is Gideon and I'm a 300 level College of Medicine student of University of Nigeria, Enugu campus, UNEC. And we make this kind of video on this channel, video about JAMB, post-UTME, and how to become a better student in general. So if that's what we are interested in, we are growing this community, so click on that subscribe button so you'll be part of this community where we share value-packed information on JAMB, post-UTME, and how to succeed as a student. So we'll be posting videos on how to read better, on how to understand better, and also further steps in order to make the best out of each of your examination. So click on that subscribe button to be part of the community, and let's dive into today's video. So the first trick here is to anticipate the correct answer before checking the option. This is very important because especially in CBT exam where you are required to choose the most correct answer. In that kind of case, when you look at the option, you're going to be seeing so many similar answers. You might have come across some of the questions, maybe probably in your secondary school examination or your O-level examination, where you are asked to pick the best correct answer. It's not like other option is not correct, but they are looking for the most correct. And this is how it is in CBT exam, because CBT exam is objective and it is related to MCQ exam, which the only difference is that in MCQ exam, you are using handwritten, like you are not using CBT. But in CBT exam, you are using computer to write it, while in MCQ, you are using your hand, like you're using your pen and the normal every other thing you need to use and write your MCQs. And in this kind of case, when you read the question, you don't rush straight into the option and start looking at the option in order to assume or to predict which one is the correct answer. What you do is to predict without looking at the option which one is possibly or what can be the possible answer to this question. And once you do that, when you go to the option, you are likely not going to pick the wrong answer, or other options which are wrong are likely not going to confuse because you already have it in your head before going to the option. So in this kind of case, you have 80% chances of getting the correct answer in this kind of case. And I'm going to show you an example. So let's look at this particular example so we'll illustrate what we're talking about very well. So for instance, we have this question. It said the demonstrator was asked to dash his statement. The demonstrator was asked to dash his statement. Now, before I look at the option for this particular question, I'm going to assume something. And when you're answering MCQ or CBT question that has to do with options, you are meant to answer it correctly in such a way that the option you are picking or the one you are picking as the answer is the one that feels so logical. For examiner to say, okay, you are meant to pick the most suitable answer for a question, you are required to pick the most logical option. And in that kind of case, I'm going to use this instance to also demonstrate that so that you understand better. So the question again said the demonstrator was asked to dash his statement. Option A says take back. Option B says withdraw. Option C said cancel. Option D says revoke. Now, looking at the options, even with mere understanding, you can say, okay, probably C and D is out of it because obviously we have other suitable answers according to what we already know to be the correct statement for a particular sentence. So C and D is likely not going to be the answer. So C and D is out. Now let's look at A and B. A and B is take back. A is take back, sorry, and B is withdraw. Now, the answer can be take back. The demonstrator was asked to take back his statement. It sounds logical, right? It sounds correct, right? Now, option B says withdraw. The demonstrator was asked to withdraw his statement. It still sounds correct, right? But in this kind of case, we are not going to pick take back. Reason is because withdraw sounds more logical than take back. Remember, take back is still correct in this kind of statement, but then withdraw is more logical in this kind of statement. So that makes withdraw the correct answer. So that is how you answer CBT question in this kind of case. Now the second trick here is derivation of formula from the option. I think this mostly work is for calculated equation for chemistry and physics and mathematics and the rest of the calculated equations. Even arts subjects that involve calculation like economics and the rest, you can also use this formula, this trick for it. And it is called derivation of formula from options. So with this, we can actually get or drive a formula for a particular question without actually knowing the formula or without having any single knowledge about what the formula for the question is about. So I'm going to use a question as well to illustrate it for better understanding. Now let's look at a particular question to use and illustrate this. Let's say, for example, I don't know the formula for Young modulus, for example, and then I came across a question on Young modulus, or I don't know, like I can't remember, probably I read it when I was preparing for my example. I can't remember the particular formula. So the question came, and then it is saying I should find the Young modulus for a particular question. So what I will simply do is that since I can't remember the formula, and then I'll go to the option, I will see the option that the unit for the option there's a particular unit for the option. So I'm going to use that particular unit for that option to come up with the formula I'm going to use to solve that question. So let's actually look at a question for better understanding. This question says, if the stress on a wire is 10 raised to power 7 Newton per meter square, and the wire is stretched from its original length of 10.00 cm to 10.05 cm, the Young modulus of the wire is what? I'm going to look at the option, and when I look at the option, I'm going to see Newton per meter square. So with that Newton per meter square, I'm going to know that, okay, what I'm going to be using is a formula that will not cancel out my Newton per meter square, which is in my question. So I'll bring out my 10 raised to power 7 Newton per meter square, and I'll say, okay, any formula I'm using now is going to be in such a way that it will not cancel this Newton per meter square out from my answer. And then I'll look at it, okay, I have 10.00 cm to 10.05 cm. So I'm going to look for something that will cancel out this unit of the length of the wire. So I'm going to look for a way to cancel out the unit of this wire, because that is the only way I can leave my Newton meter per square or my Newton per meter square out of being cancelled from the answer that I'll get after the whole calculation. So in doing that, I'm going to say, okay, since I already know I already bring out my 10 raised to power 7 Newton per meter square. Next thing I'm going to do is to find the strain, because of course I'm working in such a way that I don't know what is the formula for Young modulus. But in this case, I'm going to say, okay, strain is equal to extension over original length. So looking at the question rather, you can see that, okay, the extension was 0.5 because the initial length was 10.0 cm, 10.00 cm, and it was extended by 0.5 cm, which means that the extension is 0.5 and then the original length is 10. So in this kind of case, I'm going to say the extension is going to be 10.05 minus 10, which is going to give me 0.05, and now my 0.05 is going to be my extension. Then my original length, which is going to be the initial length of the wire before it was extended, is going to be 10. So 0.05 cm, remember it's now in cm, divided by 10. So strain is equals to extension over original length, which my extension is 0.05 and my original length is 10. And all these things are in cm. So cm is going to cancel cm. And in this case, I'm left with no unit this time around. And then I'm going to do 0.05 divided by 10, and I'll be getting 0.005 as my strain. Since I'm getting a number that doesn't have units as my strain, that definitely means that strain is supposed to be the denominator. Do you understand it now? Because if I should make my 10 raised to power 7 denominator, I'm going to get a whole different unit when I finish calculating. You understand? So that in that case, I'm going to say, okay, it's already got the strain to have no value. That means to have no units rather. That means the strain is supposed to be the denominator. So I'll put the strain as denominator and then put the one that has units as the numerator. And when I divide it, my unit is going to be untouched. And when I divide 10 raised to the power 7 divided by 0.05, I'm going to get 2.0 times 10 raised to the power 9 Newton per meter square. That is my correct answer. So I didn't even know the formula for Young modulus, but because of the fact that I've come to realize that after I finish calculating for the length, the original length and the extended length, I was able to get a particular answer that doesn't have any unit. So definitely I already know that one is this strain. And even if I don't know is this strain, I already know it's supposed to be the denominator, because if it becomes the denominator, the one that has units will be untouched. Like the value, the unit actually that will be the numerator will be untouched. So the only thing that will be reduced, the only thing that will be divided this time around is the value and not the unit. So when I divide it, I'm going to be getting 2.0 times 10 raised to the power 9 Newton per meter square. So the next one is going to be elimination method. This elimination method is not going to actually give you your answer, at once or in specific, but it's going to increase your chances of picking the correct answer at the end. So this elimination method, how it works is that when you look at an option, there is specifically those ones that obviously not correct in the option. Instead of looking at it and trying to combine it together and confuse yourself while looking at the option that is correct, what you're going to do is totally eliminate it from the options. So how are you going to do this? Because it's a CBT examination, obviously you cannot eliminate or cancel something on the CBT. So what I did, or what I used to do, is I will write it down on paper that I'm with. That is on my paper that I came to write the exam for. So I'll write the question completely, then write the options, and then I will strike the options that are obviously incorrect on that paper. So I'm answering the question now on paper, not looking at the CBT monitor. I'm not looking at the CBT monitor this time around to answer the question. I'm looking at the paper that I wrote the question on. So when I'm looking at the paper that I wrote the question on, I've already struck out the two answers probably that is not correct, and then I have two options that I'm confused that it might be correct or which one is correct among the two options. And in this kind of case, you now have a 50% chance of getting the correct answer, because when you have two options, you have 50% chance of getting the correct answer. And in this kind of case, picking any of the two options can, it can be correct and it can be incorrect, but it increases your chance of getting the correct answer. The next trick here is to use the grammatical rule. This one is so straightforward and simple if you know grammatical rule very well. If you know grammatical rule, this one is going to be very easy and simple for you. So in this trick usually works for English examination, and in some cases it works for our students in literature and the rest of the examination they write. And also even for science students, it still works in some cases. Actually it still works in some of the subjects, but most of the times it works on your English language examination. So this grammatical rule, how it works is that the examiner pays more attention to the correct answer of a question. So the rest of the option, they just reluctantly put anything there without checking if it is grammatically correct or not. So you can actually utilize this opportunity to get the correct answer and add to your aggregate as part of your mark at the end of your examination. I'm going to use an example to illustrate what I'm saying for if you don't understand it very well. So we're going to look at this example. Let's look at this example. It says, journalists always collect and publish dash. Journalists always collect and publish dash. A says informations. B says an information. C says many information. D says much information. Now let's analyze it according to grammatical accuracy. Now, first of all, we're going to know that information is an uncountable noun. Information is an uncountable noun. And because of it's an uncountable noun doesn't end with S, and it doesn't end with ES, and it doesn't end in plural form generally. So uncountable noun doesn't end with S and ES. So when we're looking at the option, we've already strike out option A, because option A, which is informations, ended with S. So there's no way A can be the answer. Then we'll move to option B. Option B says an information. Now looking at this, we can see that an information, right? Now, according to grammar, and which is an indefinite article, is not supposed to be following an uncountable noun. Do you understand? And is an indefinite article, right? So it's not supposed to follow an uncountable noun. So in this kind of case, option B is incorrect, because indefinite article is not supposed to be following uncountable noun. Now let's look at option C. Option C says many information. Many information. Now let's come again. Many is not supposed to be following uncountable noun. Many and plenty. It's not supposed to be following uncountable nouns. So if they say many information, it's grammatically incorrect. If they say plenty information, it is grammatically incorrect. Now let's look at option D, sorry. Let's look at option D. Option D says much information. Obviously, this is going to be the correct answer. The reason is because uncountable noun can be followed by much and it can be followed by some. So we can say much information, it is grammatically correct, and we can say some information, it is grammatically correct. Now, without probably maybe I don't know which one is actually the correct answer to this question, without even knowing which one is the correct answer, without having a knowledge about what is asked here, I can use my grammatical knowledge to actually get the correct answer by analyzing the options and pairing it according to how grammatical correct each option is. So in this kind of case, much can follow information, which is an uncountable noun. So much information is correct, some information is correct, and with that, you've already gotten yourself a mark higher. So the last trick is what I call the except rule out rule. So this except rule out rule is in a case whereby they use except in a question. So if they say which of these is except dash. So in that kind of case, if they say which of this is, so they're looking at the negative now because they have put except, you understand? So in this kind of case, it confuses students so much that if they put except to a question, it takes them a lot of time. And you know, JAMB is a time-based examination. So if you're not too conscious of time, you're going to miss out very well. How to answer it so well, or how to get the correct answer so fast, is to know that once they have put which of these is correct except, just know that they are looking for the incorrect one, which is the negative one. How I do my own is personally is that when I look at the question, I say which of these is correct except, I will interpret the question as which of this is incorrect, and then I will say which of this is incorrect dash, and then I'll start checking it, because when you are interpreting the question how it's supposed to be or how you are supposed to understand it, your brain is going to process it faster. So friends, that is all for today's video, and don't forget to hit on that subscribe button to support me, and also like this video for YouTube algorithm to push it out to many people and many other people to see it, and also share to your friend who you think might need this. Remember, JAMB examination is fast approaching. Okay, study hard and never give up. I will see you in the next one. Bye.